Hello everybody, welcome to What the Flick. Alonzo Duralde, Ben Mankiewicz is traveling this week, so joining us for our recap of Season 2, Episode 3, please welcome William Bibbiani from craveonline.com and Ryan Turek from shocktiyouDrop.com, who know way more about horror than I do, and probably watch the show a lot less than me going, ah! So
the show actually makes me hungry.
Oy.
It actually makes me like I'm revolted. I tried to watch the opening of episode 2 while I was eating breakfast, and I wanted to puke. So, as a horror fan who wants to,
okay,
that
so
says
that's
something.
For network television. Yeah, no, a friend of mine actually was sitting on the sofa eating next to me, just in time for Will Graham to picture himself cutting through the cheeks of that bailiff, and yeah, it was a moment.
Good times.
So this episode is called Hassun, which we just read a very lengthy exploration of. Go Google it somewhere. It's basically it's the course that's preparing you for the rest of the meal. It's about presentation. It's about pairing opposites, and it in a lot of ways fits in what happens in this episode. What do you guys want to give a recap of what went down?
Ryan, why don't you take us in on that?
Well, I especially love that it opens with Will Graham fantasizing about his own execution. Before his trial. He's getting ready to go on trial. We've been waiting for this moment, obviously, for so long. And
those straps, I thought, were antlers at first.
Yeah, there were these like weird straps with the face mask, which strangely they took off for the actual execution. Which
well, there's a little bit of gas chamber and a little bit of electric chair going on there. I think he's sort of mushing it all together.
It's not meant to be taken literally. It's all like his persecution fantasy. So initially it's him just faceless as an entity, and then the second time you see it, after they do this weird time reversal thing, you just get to see him kill himself, and it's his own judgment of who he is.
And then we lead into the ritualistic of him getting ready, putting on a suit, and while we're also seeing Hannibal put on his suit at the same time. And Hannibal
scopes out his butt, his own butt. He's just like,
See that? It's a little details like that I don't pick up on. But Bibbs here, he gets it. Yeah, this is all about the trial. It's all about Jack Crawford and what he's going through. It's all about the reversal, because this episode plays with our emotions, because we think, yeah, Will's gonna get out of this, and then we're like, oh no, he's not. Like, it's just all about the testimonies from Crawford, Dr. Bloom, and Hannibal, and so on.
Which is one of my problems, I think, with this episode. And I love this show. This is one of my favorite shows on television. But this episode is taking a very sharp turn from the way that the entire series plays. On one hand, it's just a courtroom thriller. Right. On the other hand, a lot of it is recapping information that the audience already knows through the testimony of these people. And yes, we find out that Jack Crawford feels differently about it than perhaps he did 1 or even 2 episodes ago. He's been struggling with it, and it's good to illustrate that. But in some respects, it feels like this episode is kind of trying something new and kind of spinning its wheels.
It's a little bit of a placeholder. It's a little bit. It's kind of like they're sort of vamping, I think, until we get to the next chunk of things that are going to happen. It's worth noticing that for the entire run of the series, this is the first episode that is not credited to Brian Fuller as writer or co-writer. Every single one up until now, he's had his name on.
He wanted nothing to do with this.
Apparently, he walked away. No, I don't know. I have no idea. But I did think, so basically what's happening is that Hannibal is muddying the waters by staging these copycat murders.
Potentially.
Oh, okay. Maybe it's not Hannibal. Okay, I'm assuming it is.
Someone is muddying, is messing up the trial by doing copycat murders, and very similar to the way that
using information that's not been released to the public, which narrows our suspect pool.
And also,
I think.
I mean, like the lawyer was sent an ear in a courtroom. We saw that he opened up an envelope and an ear fell out, and that ear was tied to
someone. It's the bailiff who was responsible for stealing a piece of evidence. Someone is trying to create reasonable doubt. Someone is trying to reach out to Will.
But whoever's doing it isn't doing it so well as to establish themselves as being the same killer, because they're doing slightly different things, like using bullets and such.
Exactly, but it's sending repercussions throughout. It's sending a ripple through everybody that's connected with Will Graham.
Bodies while they're still alive. Thanks.
Which makes all the difference. But I think that's one of the issues I have with this episode, is that Hannibal has never been, as a series, has never been terribly coy about whether or not Hannibal is murdering anyone. They've always been pretty straightforward about it. He's the title character. We know what he's doing. So because this episode doesn't show Hannibal doing any of these murders, the audience is led to think that maybe he's doing them, but there's a lot of evidence to suggest that he's not, and they're trying to turn this into some kind of proper Agatha Christie mystery. Who is responsible? Will says things like, I felt like the killer left the courtroom with me. Hannibal says that this murder is very goal-oriented. And it really, I feel like they're trying to make us think that it's the lawyer, that he's just doing everything he can to try to get a mistrial.
And that leads to the question, where did this lawyer come from?
Exactly.
I mean, that's the whole thing. It's like, where's the lawyer?
He may be a red herring. Then again, I feel like Hannibal is a red herring because they're going out of their way to not tell the story the way that they normally do, to not just show you. A lot of the ways Hannibal is kind of like Othello. Hannibal smirks, or the audience knows what he's about to do, basically what his motivation is, and then we see how people respond to his evil. We don't get that in this episode, and as a result, this episode feels a little less focused to me. I was still engaged. I'm still very interested. I love Peter Medak directed this one. He did one of the best horror movies of all time, The Changeling. Yeah. He creates a wonderful sense of just limbo in that courtroom. I mean, it looks like a miserable place to work.
Yeah, I did find myself looking at the sets more. I mean, the sort of rings and the marble behind them in the interrogation room, and
I took a screen grab at the very end. You see Crawford walking down the hallway after he talks to Cynthia Nixon's character, and it's a long shot, and the camera's pointing right down the hallway, and on either side there are light fixtures, and the light fixtures cast double H's on each side. And I tweeted at Brian Fuller last night, and I said, happy mistake, or, just were you doing this intentionally? He goes, there are no accidents on my show. And I was just like, all right.
And you look at that in a lot of the production design. I mean, like there's, I was looking at those light fixtures, and I was seeing almost bars. Like everyone, like even Crawford in those scenes feels kind of imprisoned by the situation he finds himself in. Every time Hannibal is talking to Will, when Will is actually in his cell, they always shoot Hannibal from inside the cell, so it looks like he's behind bars, kind of like they shot Brian Cox in Manhunter.
Right.
So I mean, yeah, I love the production design on this show. It's so evocative, it's so beautiful, it's haunting. It really creates a wonderful sense of place. But I feel like sometimes it can distract from the plot. It's almost like True Detective in that way, where the tone of it almost matters more than what the story is at times.
Well, I would say that this show is as art directed as Pushing Daisies was, but just in the complete opposite color palette. So for as much as that show was about sort of pops of primary color and almost sort of a kitschy sense of just kind of a, colorful extravaganza. This show, I would love to see, the palette of muted grays and blacks they've got, because they run the gamut from coal to ashen.
Yeah. Did anyone catch the Star Trek reference in this episode when Hannibal says, "I have been and always will be your friend"?
Yes.
And I love how they're creating this wonderful connection between Hannibal and Will, where Hannibal. I'm not sure what Hannibal's motivation is anymore. I'm not sure if I ever was, but I always feel like he's torn between being psychologically curious about Will and actually really loving him as a friend. And here I'm like, I'm not sure. Does he want Will in jail? Does this benefit him? I don't think he does, but he got him in there.
No, I know. I think that Hannibal's learning from his own mistakes. He's realized it's a push and pull relationship. It's kind of like, I want you, but I don't want you. And then I'm going to play with you, and I'm going to be a real jerk for a little bit, but then I'm going to pull you out.
Get away.
Yeah. Let me rescue you and feel empowered by that. That whole line that when he was talking about the potential murderer, he's toying with Will, and he leans in and he says to him, this guy loves you. He's doing this because he loves you. Why are you going to ignore that love? Now, if you're presuming that it's Hannibal doing that, that says a lot, So I honestly think that Hannibal loves Will, and now that Gillian Anderson's like out of the picture after she kind of dumped Hannibal,
has no one to connect.
He's got no one to connect with.
Where he's staring at the chair, like you can tell, like that was his appointment. She's not there.
It's sad. It's really sad.
This used to be mine.
No, the line I was thinking of when you were talking about that was when Will's lawyer is sort of describing, or not Will's lawyer, the prosecuting attorney rather, is painting the portrait of like he wants to prove that he's smarter than these killers and that he's smarter than the FBI. I'm like, no, that's Hannibal. That's that is the complete rundown of the
reaction from Hannibal out of that. He smiles.
You
see him smile. It's just like
I think he's the smartest person in the room, and it cuts to Will. Hannibal is like, but you also get that. It's interesting. You also get that from Chilton, who throughout a lot of the Thomas Harris novels and adaptations, he's always portrayed as kind of a mook. He's always always at least slightly off, if not completely wrong.
Yeah, super smart.
And yet his presentation of his analysis of Will Graham is exactly Hannibal. Like he's just got it on exactly the wrong guy.
Right.
It's almost interesting that they gave him that much credit in this episode. He gets to be wrong in exactly the right way.
Well, the man did have his guts spilled out, so I mean, I owed him that a little bit.
Well, I mean, I think that really part of what's happening with Hannibal is that he is allowed to function in broad daylight by having a fall guy right next to him to basically be his, sin eater in a way. Like he's absorbing all the sort of traits and things that people would want to put onto Lecter, and rightly so, but he's got Will as this sort of convenient, guy who is so empathetic that he's going to just sort of absorb all that stuff.
Do you think that Hannibal is using Will to better understand himself? Because he's putting Will in a situation to become, or at least be treated more like what people will eventually treat Hannibal Lecter as.
So that basically Will's therapy will be vicarious for Hannibal?
Yes, or at the very least, Hannibal is foreshadowing what's going to happen to him. Maybe he doesn't know he's going to end up in a psychiatric institution. He probably doesn't plan on that.
Right.
But at the same time, once that eventually happens, because we know it well, we've seen Silence of the Lambs. You should. It's quite good. It's quite good. But
LAMB.
So it's kind of like an acceptance.
Maybe it's an acceptance, or maybe he's just building up tools that he will need eventually when he's in Will Graham's place.
Interesting. Yeah.
Just a thought.
I wouldn't put it past Hannibal. I mean, like that. He is one of the smartest characters in cinema, I think. I mean, he's or now on television history. I wouldn't put it past him. That's good. Good observation, Bibbs.
Thank you, Ryan.
Do we think that the show can maintain an entire season of one character behind bars?
No.
Because that really seems to tether them in a way that season one wasn't. And it hasn't been a bad thing so far, but I can see where down the road they're going to have to really...
Well, I felt that season one was all about Will. I mean, it was called Hannibal, but I was like, well, you should just be calling this Will Graham, you know? This season is very specifically about Hannibal and all of his maneuverings that are going on. I think eventually Will will get out. Like, maybe that'll be like our halfway through. Yeah.
He has to. You can't leave him there forever. We know the thing is, the show is very interesting because it operates on one level as if it knows that you know everything that's going to happen later, like you've read or you've seen Manhunter or Red Dragon or whichever version you prefer. But at the same time, it has to operate as if you've never seen them before. So they're always coy about that. But we always know, if you are familiar with Thomas Harris's works, basically where this is going.
Yeah.
Well, and they even started this season with that sort of flash forward to kind of let you know, here's where we're heading. Don't
Honestly,
don't obsess about that.
I think it was a real cop out to do that, because that is one of my biggest grievances with a lot of narrative storytelling today, is to use that structure of let's cut, flash forward to like 5 years or 12 months or 12 minutes forward, in the future, and then we'll go 12 minutes earlier.
I hate that. I hate that. And it feels like
on a case-by-case basis.
I feel sometimes like they're gilding a lily, like we couldn't be bothered to come up with a good introduction, so we show you something really cool that'll happen later, but then it always feels like a foregone conclusion. You're just waiting for everything to wrap up. Now, I will say that the opening of this season was a spectacular fight sequence.
Yes,
the way that Hannibal tries breaking down doors, like he jumps up into it, like I don't know what he's doing, but like having a seizure. It's very cool.
I kind of feel like that sort of structure is our fault. Like there are so many people on the internet who nitpick shows episode by episode and try and figure out. And I mean, look at all the people who are trying to guess how True Detective was going to turn out. So I think that was sort of like, all right, we're going to skip that. We're going to tell you how it's going to turn out. Now watch all this other stuff and pay attention and don't be thinking too much about.
Whenever you're making a serialized narrative based on an individual property that has an existing story, you run the risk of the audience getting bored or impatient. Like, get to the stuff that we know. And so
like every Jesus movie.
Yes, like every Jesus, or Bates Motel. We know how Norman's mother ends up eventually, we're kind of just waiting at some point, and the rest of it's just padding. But with season 2, what they're saying is that we're not letting this go for too long. We're going to get to this, and then we're going to move forward. This isn't going to be like Lost, where we're going to like keep almost pressing that button. By the end of this season, buttons pressed, and then we're going to have to deal with the consequences of that. And then eventually we're going to have to get into Red Dragon, and we'll be out or whatever, and then eventually we'll move on, and hopefully they'll get the rights to Silence of the Lambs by then. So
meanwhile, who the hell are they going to find to be the next judge in this trial?
Oh my God. That was some Saw-esque stuff.
Who's going to sign on for that shit?
Well, that's another reason why I don't think it's Hannibal, because the judge wasn't rude to Hannibal. The judge was basically just an impediment for the case. And again, Hannibal says the killer is very goal-oriented. The only person who was he was the only person who whose way that judge was in was the lawyer. So that's a theory. I don't know. Maybe I'll find out next week, and I was way off. But whatever. But yeah, that's the most thankless role, though. Like, he looks so bored. It's like, I'll allow it. Oh my God.
But Will, I mean, like, you know, Will's got this 1,000-yard stare down pat. That's all he mostly did in this episode.
So guilty,
he looks so guilty. He looks like a wet dog.
Maybe if he would shave, that might, I think, go a long way.
Do you know why they keep relocating him through, like, when he has to take a meeting? Why he's either in, like, the phone booth cage, or why he's in a cell, or why he's in the interrogation room? Do you know why they keep relocating him?
I think it depends on, like, if you're visiting and you're from the FBI, then you get one room, and if you're not, if you're Gillian Anderson, then you get the cage.
Weird.
I'm just guessing, or they're just mixing it up. I don't really know.
Yeah. Sometimes they're just playing like, look, we bought the cage. We're gonna film the cage.
Where will Will be interrogated next week? Tune in and find out. Bibbs, Ryan, thanks for joining us this week. Catch you next time.